Oh, he's on. Right, that's a tench. Yeah, that's a tench. Feel the tail. He's coming alive a bit now. Now the swans and the ducks have disappeared. I've been baiting up over there, and I think it'll be, well, it's been about 40 minutes now. It's been in there. I think it's about time to go in. Oh. Right, welcome back to Out and About Angling. First time we've been out this year properly, well, since the season closed. So we're doing a bit of still water fishing. Today we're on the Mythe pool, on the Birmingham Anglers ticket. It's just water I've really struggled with over the years. I haven't given it loads of time, but I've had a few sessions down here and I've never caught anything. I hear of some decent fish in here, but it does flood with the River Severn being just over the other side of the bank. So we've had a glorious few weeks of weather, sunshine galore. It's like the summer already, start of April, and I've really fancied having a good tench campaign. So I've been down here a bit having a look, trying to look for activity, if tench showing any signs of moving, bubbling, topping. I've had a look today. I saw a bit of activity on the surface. It's 10 past 6 now. I got here about 20 past 5. I spotted out a bit of ground bait with chopped up worms and casters, and a bit of tiger nut powder I like to put in with my mix. And I'm going to have a go on a spot that I've had a feel around. I know there are a few clear spots. They say you should fish over gravel for tench, but I don't find that's always the case. I'm fishing in an area where there is some clear spots, but there is a lot of weed as well. So that's the spot I'm going for. I've baited up, given it a bit of time to rest, and I'm getting ready to go in. So I'll talk you through my little setup I'm using. I'm actually using a pair of new rods I've purchased. I had been using barber rods previously for tench fishing, but I just find that I'd had a few hook pulls where I just think that, like a 1 3/4 test curve rod, sometimes when they have a late surge, using a lighter line like £8 and using like £6-7 bottoms, I just found I've been bumped a couple of times, and I think it's because the rods aren't forgiving enough. So I've got a couple of Drennan Specialist 1 3/4 11 foots, because a lot of the still water fishing I'll be doing this year isn't casting great distance. My trusty Shimano 5000 bait runners I use for my barbel fishing normally, but I've used my spare spools and spooled it with Daiwa sensor, £8, tough as old boots, and I'm using a £7 bottom. I like this reflow power stuff. I use the higher strength for my barbel fishing sometimes. Some people say it's a bit match fishing, but I like it, good knot strength. That's in 0.19mm, which is £7. I like that. Because I'm fishing over weed, I'm using helicopter rigs. These are the Corum Camo Helis. They're just nice, easy kit. You can use float stops and beads and little spinning changeover beads, but that for me works fine. Little 30 grams, 1 ounce maggot feeder. I'll be using maggots in my feeder, a little bit of ground bait chucked in there with it. And what I am using on the bottom is Drennan barber hooks, because they're nice and tough, because I have fished for tench recently somewhere else, and I was using a softer gauge hooks, and I had a hook pull straight in the hook right out. So I'm using these nice strong hooks, size 14, and I'm using a little air rig on them and something called a bait spike. I don't know if you can see it on the camera there, but it's like, really, it's like a hook that's been straightened out. It's got a barb on it, a little spike. I'm using a couple of artificial maggots. I like these personally, the Enterprise tackle ones. I think they're decent and very natural looking. I'm putting a couple of those on there so it moves around buoyantly, and I'm putting a couple of real maggots on there to kind of balance it, so it'll just waft around a little bit. And that's what I'm going with. So I'm doing that on both rods. I've baited up 2 spots, and I'm going to get in there, feeding maggots. I've got plenty of maggots, about 1.5 pints of maggots. Bit of a ground bait mix, which I will talk about. It's a Sensor 3000. It's a lovely smelling, sweet ground bait mix. Takes me back to being a kid. I've got a load of casters in there that I've just crushed with my hands. Bit minging, but I just crush them up with my hands. And I chop a load of worms up in there just for the worm juices. And then a bit of tiger nut powder as well. So that's the mix I'm going with. Let's get out there and see how we get on. The tricky bit is hooking the maggots on these little spikes, because these particular ones are tiny. 1. 2. Not as pretty as I would like hooking it on like a size 20, but there you go. So see them wiggling away there. Nice air rig maglets. Not as big and out there as a, what's it called, a Medusa, but I think that'll do the job. And then caps are a bit tight on these feeders. They're a bit of a pain. It needs a bit more elastic in them. This is a replacement I got for one I lost the other day. I'm not liking them as much as the other ones I was using, which were Drennan. There we go. I meant to get that out. Right, there we go. Maggots in there. Always bait your hook up first, because you put your maggots in your feeder first, they'll all be gone by the time you there you go, bit ground bit over the top, just to give that nice powdery effect when it hits the water, because Tench seem to like. And there you go, helicopter rig, so it just spins around in the air before it goes into the weed. I'm ready to go in. Got my clip set nice. That's about where I was baiting. There. Not too deep out there. Put my clip on. There you go. And then we'll go with the second one, which I'd actually already baited the hook up ready for that one. These are the other feeders. These are the, I think they're Drennan ones, aren't they? There you go, maggots everywhere. There we go, we're in there, traps are set. Like I say, I haven't had a lot of luck down here in the past. I've had a couple of tench out of here, but everybody seems to think it's a bit of a hard water. I see a lot of lads get down here after carp, but because it floods you don't really know exactly what's in here. I've heard the rumours of tench being in here over the years, and you always want to have a go, but I've never had any joy with them. Considering it's early April, it's been like summer, 20 degrees. A few days this week, 18, 19 degrees. So I think it's really brought the tench out. Seen a lot of people catch tench on social media. It's just got the flavour going. I want to get out there and catch some. As my grandpa used to say, tench were his favourite species, and he'd always say, last couple of hours of sunlight into dark, and again in the morning, just as it's getting light, that's the prime time for catching tench. So I've been avoiding the warm days at the moment and just concentrating on trying to get the evenings in. There's just one about to hit our line. I put about 6, they're like giant, like a cage feeder, but it's just got a wire at the end to hook onto, so it's like a spod really. I call it a spod, but it's like a giant cage feeder. I just filled that up with ground bait and put about 6 of those across 2 spots, and then the last couple I put a handful of maggots each one and plugged them in just to get a bit of maggot out there, get their interest. And say it was rested for about 40 minutes before we gone in. Give it a chance to settle after all the splashing of casting in. Oh, he's on. I think that's a tench. Yeah, that's a tench. I can feel the tail. Has he got me in weed? I think, yeah. There's weed there. Has he come off and just take me to weed or what? Oh, see the weed there. I don't know if he's come off, take me into weed. Slow on the pickup then, wouldn't I think he's come off. No. Has it? for any activity behind that weed. Oh, I reckon he's done me, hasn't he? Oh, he's there.
Tried to camouflage himself.
He did, didn't he? Hiding in that weed. I haven't even got my big net. There's the tench. Oh, you see him there flashing around. Go on, go on. There it is. Oh, I've got him. There you go, the weeds come off. Lovely. Chris and the rod. See that? I just moved it because I just felt that there was no activity there. Move it, within about 3 minutes that's gone. Let's get him out and have a look. Only a little one, but there we go. Get that one out of the way. He's still full of beans. Beauty. Little scars, but sneaky fish took me in that weed. Let's get you back. Actually, I'll rest you up in the net. Have a little rest up there. There you go, rod christened. As you can see from this video, Mythe Pool really is just next to the River Severn. So later in the year, normally in the autumn and winter, it's not uncommon for the river to flood and break the banks into the Mythe, which leads to you wondering what stays in the lake and what gets out. But there are still signs that the fish are in here, so they must hide away during the floods. But they lived a tough life living in here with all the river flooding all the time. Doing a bit of fishing around and speaking to lads who fish there or people who fish it regularly, I've heard rumours of catfish being in here, but I think that goes alongside with the rumours of catfish being in the River Severn in this lower Severn section. So you wouldn't think of it as being impossible, because if they're in that river along there, there's a chance they get over in the floods and remain in here. And I think that's why there's also a big pike in here. Some of the tench that I've seen come out of here have good scars all over them, so they're obviously fighting or trying to survive from something. Kind of like natural fishing, a natural lake I'd call this, opposed to like a stock lake. So there's no guarantees, it's not a runs water. You've got to suss it out, put a bit of time and effort into finding out where to fish, where the swims are, where the gravel bars are, clear spots, weedy spots, shallow end, deep end, all that type of thing, and look for signs. It's not like one of those lakes you can just turn up, chuck it in and go, right, wait for my first bite and fill a bag with 100-pounder fish in an hour. It's it really is a challenge, a proper natural lake. Fish getting into it from the river, you're getting out of it into the river. So every year is a fresh challenge. Sun's just coming down now, and as we've been mentioning, there's been tench bubbles only about a rod out in front of us. Keeps moving around. I'm pretty sure it's tench because they're quite consistent. There's a bit of activity there, so I'm going to bring one of the rods that's a bit quieter out there, and I'm just going to drop it in about a rod out and see if we're right that it is tench. There's a fish on. Do you know I had a knock a minute ago? There's a fish on. He's been sat there. Don't know what it is. Might not be a tench because I'd have thought a tench would have bolted off, but could be a big bream or something, couldn't it? Not let it cross my line. I hope it's not. Oh, slapping, I reckon it could be a tench. Yeah, I'd say so. It's funny how it didn't take off. Yeah, there you go, that's a tench. I definitely like the way the rods are compared to my barbel rods, they're just a bit more forgiving. When they lunge, they just give. Dark tench that is. Wow. It's funny, I had that positive, the rod tip went, but then it went quiet. And he must have just kind of sat there, hiding in the weed. They call him Nemo. He's missing that fin, look. Definitely had his battles. Put him in the net. They're a bit fiddly, these bait spikes, but they're perfect for it all lining up nicely. I have tried bending hooks before I've seen people discuss that, or even using like a really small size 20 that people have suggested, but you know, those pop mags, they're a bit thicker than say a hook, so there's a tendency, if you're not careful, that they burst the mag out and make it a bit ugly, which a match fisherman wouldn't be very happy with, would they? Just awkward, see, they're tiny. It's just trying to get burst them, because you've got nothing to really hold on them, but it seems to be working. Seems to be working as a bunch. Right, so that's one fish on each of my rods to christen them. Not a bad start, eh? Get a nice cloudy plume when it hits the water. Some people like to rake their swims. I would rake this if it was closer in, clear a spot and disturb it all, but in this instance we're just fishing in the weed. And typically, as Ben left with the camera, I caught 2 more tench in quick succession, just as the sun had set, with a better size too. I was eager to get back out there that week, so I fished a few short evenings, and I was rewarded with 12 more beautiful tench, finally putting my Mythe Pool hoodoo behind me, and really kick-starting my spring tench campaign. What a beautiful time of year. Get yourself out and about.